Oh, hey! Back in the studio. Today we have a pair of Allen Edmond Dalton wingtip boots. Now, these were originally a chili brown, and they were sent to our friend Alberto Suastez. You can check out his Instagram right here. He does amazing dye and patina work. We've had the pleasure of doing a collaboration with him a couple of times before, and he's always just been a great guy to work with. So definitely check out his work. So these were done by him and sent to us. The customer wanted to originally just put in brass eyelets, and so we sent him some pictures of it with the brass eyelets in, and in the process he saw a lot of our work on Instagram and got motivated to do a little bit more. So this isn't really going to be a repair or a restoration. This is more of a upgrade and customization. So these aren't very worn. There's no reason to replace the sole. It's a really good sole still, but in order to make these truly one of a kind, we're going to take all of that out and give him a bunch of upgrades on these boots. I really am excited to get into these. I hope you guys are. So before we do, let's roll that montage. And go. All right, so before we get started on these, I wanted to talk a little bit about the welting and the differences between some of the welting options. These boots come with just what we call a flat standard welt. It's stitched to the side of the boot, it comes out flat, and that's it. We will be putting on what's called a split welt. It's just like a flat welt, but it has a split on the side of it, so it makes this little piece come up the side of the boot, and it's squared off. And it really gives it a nice kind of more of a rugged, thicker look to it. With the Allen Edmond boot being 360 welted, I think this is going to look really good on these boots. A lot of people get confused between a split welt and a storm welt. A storm welt is very similar as well. Similar concept, stitched on the same way, but instead of a split and it's squared up against it, it has more of a rolled bead along the side of it. And that goes up to the side of the boot. So just wanted to point out a little bit of a difference between the welting and some of the options, and you can kind of really get into customizing the way your shoes look. Before we get into tearing these down, so you don't have to listen to my really boring voice forever, let's roll some good music and get some good slow-mos going. So once we're at this point, when we have the welt off and everything, there's a couple of things that we can do to really kind of upgrade these boots. Allen Edmonds, they make a really good boot, but they do cut a couple of corners on some of their construction. So they run with a Goodyear welt, what's called a gemming. It's this piece of canvas that goes around the boot, and that's what the the welt gets stitched to, and then it's glued to this footbed. Now, Alden, for example, doesn't do this gemming. They do one single piece of canvas all the way across, because sometimes this glue between the gemming and the footbed can come loose and the boot will lose its shape. So at this point, we can run a piece of canvas across from side to side and stitch it in with the welt, and that will make this boot solid for a very long time. So I'm going to get that put together and start sewing this welt back on. Let's get back to some of that sweet music. Okay, so at this stage in this build, we have the welt stitched on and we have our canvas support in there. This will just keep that gemming from coming loose in that arch area where we see it often, and really keep these nice and solid. So all we have left is to put the shank back in and recork these, and then we'll get to the good stuff that we know you all want to see, and that's the stitcher. No, not yet, not yet. So at this point in the build, we got a midsole on there, and whenever you do a double sole, a lot of times, especially in the older shoes that came with double soles, the manufacturer would put this little piece of canvas right between the two soles, and what that does is it's an anti-squeak. So when you have two pieces of leather together, and if there's any kind of dry spot between the two, it could cause a squeak down the line. So we can add this little piece of canvas on there to kind of prevent that from happening. So with that being said, I forgot what we were going to say. Oh yeah, and a transition. Stitcher time! Alright, here we are. Got the soles on, and all we have left is to do these brass hardware. No more slow-mo. Let's get this over with. So here they are. The what we've come to call around the shop the Chameleon Daltons. These are just really one-of-a-kind boot. With the 360 split welting, our buck naked package, which is just a plain natural finish, JR leathered with the upgraded JR dovetail heel, which is going to last a really long time. The brass hardware on there, and just the die work and the patina that Alberto did on these is just something else. I love these boots, and I'm really happy with the way that these came out. I hope you enjoyed watching, and stay tuned for more. Did I hit that? Did I get it? I got it. Thanks, Goose.
Oh, you caught me. Just catching up with a good friend of mine, Billy Shakes over here. But now that I have you, I'd like you to do us a little favor. Like, share, subscribe to this video content, and leave comments down below. We read all of them, we answer all of them. But if you want to find out more about our company, go to professionalcobblers.com. We have links down below to all of our work. You can contact us directly if you want your stuff done, or if you have ideas for cool future videos. So, we'll see you next time. Back to Billy Shakes.